There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Nan Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
There's
Anyways.
there's a hot dog
Yep.
place there called Mr. Beef, and it's like in the middle of the ghetto, but it is
Yeah,
like the
that's what they
best
based
food.
off. Well, they based the
No. You're
the
thinking
bear off that.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought.
Yeah, the bear's
sorry, I
based
thought you
off
were
Mr.
going
Beef.
the Billy Goat's Tavern thing.
Oh, no. The bear, the show, the bear's based off Mr. Beef.
Really? Holy shit!
Yeah.
Nice. Check it
Same,
out.
same. Like the location looks the same and everything.
Now, when I say Mr. Beef, it's all like picnic tables and like really.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the one where they yell at people in Chicago? The hot dog
Ed
place or whatever?
DeVevick's. Ed
Is that what it is?
DeVevick's, yeah. It's an insult factory.
Oh,
Nice.
is it called Dick's? What is it?
Yeah, Dick's Sports Bar. Yeah, I love that place.
I mean, there's Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah.
There's
But
also
no one
Yeah.
yells at you there.
if
It's
you're
just
in a
funny.
strip mall, it could also be Old Navy Dick's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those strip mall things are great. You see them across the country. Wherever there's a Dick's, there's always some other store that they place next to it that just, when you say them together, it sounds weird.
Jacob, you'll remember this. You remember when they would have like a sandwich board or whatever at Blockbuster, and you would put the little placards in for what's coming out and what's new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was behind the register.
Right. Well, you the year Pecker came to video, I was working at Blockbuster, the John Waters film, and they had the placard, and the placard above it was Big and Hairy.
Big and Harry Pecker coming soon, baby.
Yeah. I always laughed at that. All right. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone podcast. We're back again to talk another episode of this fantastic world that Rod Serling created. Today, we're going to talk about an episode that clearly I'm the maybe I'm not the only one that likes this episode, but clearly somebody who is our fourth chair refuses to like this episode. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, we just started this, Nick.
Now you get it. He usually does this to me.
Now I came on like 30 minutes ago, and you're like putting me under the bus.
Right. I mean,
Oh,
You have
you're
to
now one
go
of
through
us.
initiation again.
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 And every time you leave, when
I
you
don't
come
ever
back, you have to go through the initiation. I did it to Trip last week when she disappeared for a week.
Is this my
You guys don't do-
stipulation for being a recurring guest? It's
Yeah.
just
Don't feel
Yeah,
bad.
you have
I
two-
get it, and I don't ever miss.
Yeah, that's why you've got so many kids, right?
Oh my god,
Oh
great
my
times.
God.
And by me.
Right. But no, the episode this week, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Once again, it's one of those episodes that I forgot the name of it, but I do remember it well. Like last week's, I've seen this episode quite a bit. But first, Alex, welcome back. I know you weren't here last week, but you talked about how much you like Old Man in the Cave. We missed you on the episode. We definitely did justice for you. Rank it number 23. So
You
I know
did.
you appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now with that said, Alex, there's been some rude awakenings in this podcast, and we need to do some what's that word called? What's that? Oh god damn it, I forgot what the name of it was. There's a
Nick,
word.
you're
where-
You're just an angular turnip, Nick.
I know, right?
You look like you wear your
Um,
clothes under your clothes or something.
You have all the grace of a high
Totally
button
fucked
shoe.
that up somehow.
You are a
It is.
spindle shank carcass, my friend.
Am I a passionless vegetable?
Yes, you are a peanut-headed example of nature's carelessness. I might also
Exactly.
call you a bovine crab.
It all came out from Robby the robot. A reckoning. We have to do a reckoning. So you guys tried to blame me for why it's a good life was ranked as high as it was.
Yes.
And clearly we have to talk about this, Alex, because some people need to be put in their place when they try to blame me for
Let me
certain
guess, it's
episodes
my
being higher.
fault again. Okay, fine, it's my fault. I suck.
well,
I'll
I
just
mean, we
leave the
got
podcast.
we got a video. We got a video I'm going to share.
Oh god.
And
here we go.
Yeah.
video?
Bring it up.
He's like
Video.
What are we doing?
edited
What
together a
did
video
I
just
come
for
back
this.
to? I was gone for
Yeah.
a week.
Bet
No,
you it's a whole
it's
bunch
a
of
clip.
clips that are like clipped together to make it sound like someone's saying something
Yeah.
they're not actually saying.
This is fake
I
news.
mean,
Yeah.
you guys see it? You guys see how I edit, right? I
Just
edit. It looks like I'm.
TMZ.
Yeah,
Right.
literally TMZ.
Well, you see how I edit, right? Like I edit, like it looks like I'm like just randomly adding clips into the episodes. Which is how it's edited because
From
it's
here
so
on out,
choppily
I'm
put
just
together.
gonna randomly change my position to make it look like I'm being edited.
Exactly. That's how you should
Yeah,
do
Trip, just move back and forth.
it. All right. So the question that was brought up last week, because I did edit this podcast like an hour before we started recording, was why is It's a Wonderful damn it, you Jacob. No, but the question was why is It's a Good Life ranked so high? And this was the same thing with when Jacob brought up 5 characters in search of an exit. And
Just keep going a little lower, Jacob. Little lower.
that's what
He's
she-
having a good old
little
time.
more.
Get that tongue
Just
ready, son.
Just a little more. Just go a little more down on the screen there.
Anyway, so we're having a reckoning here. So oh Jesus.
Just go for it already.
Oh, Jake,
Don't
you're
leave
so
us in
big.
suspense.
I can't get it right now. Just continue. Don't mind me.
I'm trying not to. I'm like Jacob's like I'm gonna go upside down, I'm gonna go to the left, to the right.
Yep, stand up, sit
Oh,
down.
Jacob.
Left to the left.
Anyways, so this will clear up why It's a Good Life got to where it's at. I mean, when we go top 10, we're looking at stuff like Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up, Shadow Play, The Purple
Yeah.
Testicle, Stop at Willoughby, Walking Distance, Obsolete Man.
That's a
number
good
1,
thought.
which is Monsters Do at Maple Street.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that we're gonna nightmare as a child up this bitch, but I don't know if I can do top 10, but I don't think you want it to go, below say 15 or 16. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, it's my fault. I admit it. Fine.
I don't know.
Well, and we're always gonna run into one or two of those episodes, regardless of where we go with that, I mean, I think between 11 and 15 would be where I would kind of start, but that's me.
How about you, Nick?
I mean, fuck, I don't know. Is it better than The Silence? Is it better than The Grave?
It's better than the
God,
cornfield.
Is it better than The Rum Gone? I mean, this is where I'm looking at. I'm looking between The Grave.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could see putting it around. It's better than the
God,
cornfield.
Is it better than The Rum Gone? I mean, this is where I'm looking at. I'm looking between The Grave and Nick of Time. I mean, right where Tripp said, like Nightmare as a Child, Nick of Time, World.
Fine, my fault.
Grave, but I
obviously.
don't know. You feel No, like it should be a top 10 episode, Jacob?
Yes.
Really?
I'm not a-
Well,
But
no, but
if
like,
it was
where
just
would you
me-
put it? I mean, if we were to go top 10, I don't
5.
think I would go higher than Shadow Play, but number 5?
I could see putting it between or
Between 5
around
and
like
8.
like yeah, I was gonna say I could see putting it around like Willoughby or
So what was that trying to prove?
Just having fun. No, it's
I think that was a deep fake.
no, but like you always like it always makes me laugh when we talk about these things because of how long we've been doing this podcast, where you go back and you're like, oh, maybe I did say something I shouldn't have said, because you end up realizing like the episodes may not be as good as you remember, and doing podcasts for a long time makes you realize that what we think then is definitely not what we think now, because now we have It's a Good Life or number 20 instead of number whatever it was at the time. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. I always go back and watch sometimes to see what we were thinking, like what drugs we were on at the time. So
It's
That's
still in the
good.
top 20.
yeah.
And I will say, I think the top 20 is going to stay the same. I'm pretty confident.
no, no. But no, it's all in good fun. Like I said, I appreciate you
There's
guys
this
every
episode
week. What
coming
you
up
do.
about jackets or something that I hear.
black leather jackets.
Maybe that'll be a top 20
Something
episode.
about
We
a
don't know.
pool too.
It better
Um,
not be, I swear.
hear they're great.
Right.
Definitely be better than Perchance to Dream.
That's not true. I
Um,
haven't thought everything was better than Perchance to Dream.
Just most things.
It's on Perchance to Dream is almost to a point where I feel comfortable. Almost.
20 more.
Mm-hmm.
Get it around.
See, I
60.
think you would have been like really happy it was down like the hundreds, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be a
I don't
good
think
place
it's that
for it?
bad. I don't think it's good either. I mean, I would be fine with it if it was like in the 60s.
It may still end up there.
I don't even think we have that many episodes left.
Yeah, we still have like 29 episodes, so you never know.
What's it at? What number is it at right now?
42.
It's like 42. So yeah, we have plenty of time.
Man, I put my work in.
Get your freak on. You know, I was looking
Yeah.
at what's coming up next, and at least for my mind, there's more bangers than not bangers, but that's, you know, that's obviously not having gone through the critical process that we go through.
Banging is always better than not banging. So.
I agree.
There's
There's
but
no
yeah,
banging going on in this episode.
I mean, there's banging going on, but the different kind of banging. A lot of
Robot
banging.
chicken banging.
Yeah, robot chicken banging. Yeah. Anyways, so I enjoy this episode. Apparently Alex doesn't, so this might be a contentious episode. We'll see what the middle two crew think, whether they like it or not. But of course,
what's the episode name? What's the episode name,
that's-
Nick?
Yeah.
I was getting ready. I was getting to that.
What's the flaw?
Hey Jake, we're the middle crew. Is that like the 2 live crew?
You're the peanut butter, I'm the jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make us the
White
bread,
toast.
Alex? We're milk white toast.
I mean, we kind of are, really.
What? I was about to say, I thought Jacob didn't like peanut butter and jelly. I thought we just had that
I like
conversation.
jelly. I
with
like
you
peanut
two.
butter and jelly. I just don't like them together.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Weirdo.
Well,
I remember.
well, you know,
if I had to mix my jelly with anybody's peanut butter, it would definitely be Triv.
Aw.
Take that for
Yeah.
whatever. I don't
I'll
know.
be the bananas.
Yay.
Oh, we're doing like a
so who's a fluffer
king
nutter?
sandwich. We're doing an Elvis sandwich.
Ew.
God.
That's for next week.
Yeah, right. So anyways, the next episode, the current episode we're talking about is season 5, episode 8, called Uncle Simon. Directed by well-known director. Directed the first Dirty Harry movie, directed the original Invasion of the Bounty Snatchers, well-regarded director for his time, Birdman or Escape from Alcatraz, The Shootist. That of course is Don Siegel. Like I said, well-known director, written by Rod Serling, production code 2604, air date November 15th, 1963. Stars Cedric Hardwicke, Constance Ford, Ian Wolfe, and Robby the Robot. Interesting that Robby the Robot gets a credit. I don't know how I feel about that, but you know, good for him. Good for the robot. So
At the time, I think he was a pretty well-known social media, or not social
Well,
media, for God's sake.
actually, just
well-known figure.
well, that's what I gotta ask you guys. You know, Robby
Look,
the
he's in
Robot's-
the union, Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
Listen, when you're in the union, you must be credited for what you're owed.
Give him some damn hot chocolate then. That's what he's owed. Stupid hot chocolate. Barbara.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. No, but I think it's funny that like robots in the 60s were just basically Robby the Robot from space, from Lost in Space.
Well, I mean, in this respect, he was. I mean, there was Gort. There was a whole slew of B movie monsters or B movie robots. But
he was the
he was kind of quintessential. But he was also on Lost in Space. You know, he was in Forbidden Planet. You know, he made the rounds in a couple of big ways. He wasn't the only robot face, but he was certainly one of the more known ones.
right.
At least he was nice in his chattiness.
Yeah.
Right. The episode, once again, I clearly remember. I know we're not going to put this in the top 20 because it's not that type of episode. It's clearly a middle of the road
It's not?
episode. You think it's a top 20 episode?
I'll tell you later.
You'll tell me later. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like, here, okay, Alex, why don't you like this episode?
Why are you starting with me? It's your
Because
podcast. You're the host.
I always say
it's
what
a
I
hazing ritual.
Why don't you talk first?
I did. That's all I do is talk. I've been talking forever. I'm talking forever. I'm sorry. No, I always go to you first. Jacob, we'll go to you first. What do you think? What do you think of Alex's hate for this episode?
I don't hate.
Ladies
God
first.
damn it. First off, I'd like to state that if you do happen to watch this episode, season 5, episode 8 of the classic Twilight Zone series, I would like to preface that there's the man first and the lady second. That's established,
Yes.
and I'm not here for that personally, because
But
this
that
guy,
poor woman, she
is a
should be
dick.
first all the time.
She
Well, that's
should
the
be, but is
question.
she? No.
Yeah, but she
She's
doesn't help
not.
herself at all with what she says. I feel
Okay,
like
she doesn't, but there are a couple of moments where I understand where it's coming from. And there are times where
Yeah.
I feel like she does have that catharsis and she's able to have a proper release of emotions based on this pretty much being a toxic cycle,
yeah.
emotionally abusive cycle. Well, it's not necessarily with a significant other, like, I don't know, with Living Doll as an example. It's still a weird dynamic with, an uncle and a niece who just really shouldn't be around each other, where it's a bit hostile. And obviously he's very sadistic in a way where it's like, okay, this guy's an asshole. And then when you see her be so, like, I guess, honest or very forward about sort of where her intentions have lied with being as, I guess, dedicated towards the servitude towards her uncle, then it's like you kind of understand to a point, but you also know that she's just trying to get whatever she could, I guess, as far as like his will. And then I mean, we'll see in the episode, but it does Uno reverse on her a little bit. And I kind of felt like just seeing the same sort of cycle repeat is something that has definitely happened quite a few times in the Twilight Zone before. But I just felt with this one, it just didn't have that sort of, I guess, rewarding feeling at the end of it where I was like, oh, like I understand where the lesson is coming from, but where neither of them necessarily win in this situation, at least in the living situation. But I also feel like it just wasn't like as enjoyable to watch, I think, because of how their characters were written, in my opinion, because they both are like not the greatest. I'd say Robby the Robot was the MVP of this, but I will say that he was in a much better episode, which is I believe it's the Brain Center of Whipples where he's featured in as well, which is later in season 5. And I feel like the way they implemented him and included him in there is a lot better. I feel like in this episode, the uncle could have easily not been an inventor and just this snobby, like self-centered asshole who was just rich for whatever. He could have been an author. He could have been a Ravens keeper. I don't know. He could have been friends with the president in, I don't know, Bulgaria or whatever. And it's like, cool. Like, this guy's just an asshole. It's like regardless of whoever he is, he's just an asshole. But I don't feel like I feel like the way the characters were written, I feel like he could have kept the same personality, but then she could have also better counteracted that. But I feel like it was like fighting fire with fire throughout the episode. You get what I mean? And then it's like she ends up succumbing to this fate without necessarily feeling like she has any agency or autonomy, which I understand for the time. It's like, it wasn't necessarily like as, I guess, talked about where like a woman in her situation maybe shouldn't be to an extent. I mean, I'm sure there was, but it maybe wasn't as like, openly discussed as it is today. So I feel like the way it ended definitely didn't like sit as well with me. So that's why I don't like the episode. I don't hate the episode. I think because of Robby the Robot, but also I never wanted to not have hot chocolate so much in my life from how cringy he was for asking about it so damn much. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Hot chocolate is not that it's not that difficult to make.
I mean, it's good,
just
but
hot-
I
it's
don't
just
need if
hot
I need it
chocolate
every 5
mixed
seconds.
in water at most. Or it's just
And close the fucking blinds.
Yeah.
You know,
right,
Put the
right.
draft in.
I'm like, hey, I'm gonna hang out in my basement. cool.
Yeah, you can't go down there though. But I'm gonna just hang down there and with my drill bits and shavings everywhere. It's just like I don't know. I think it's hard to root for this guy because he's an asshole, but it's also hard to. It's almost like a abusive situation with this poor woman, where
I mean, it
she had
is,
like
yeah.
she had like the best intentions when she took care of her crazy crazy uncle, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess I don't
Did she?
never.
Did
What's
she?
that? What, she
Do we know
crazy
that
or?
she had the best intentions?
I mean, it's true. She just got tired of it, but she felt she was in the wrong place because it's a nice house with lots of money, and she knew she's a
Hey,
gold
maybe
digger. She a
she
gold
take my
digger.
money, and I'm in need. I mean, I think they're just both shitty people, and shitty people be
Yeah.
I
getting
mean,
what
yeah.
shitty people get.
Mhm.
See, that's kind of where I fall too. There was, and I'm not often one to agree with Pace Magazine, but this one I sort of agreed with, and I'm not going to say where it landed, but it talks about, so it's a fairly run-of-the-mill passive-aggressive revenge tale with some visual complexity. It's about a mean woman who kills her mean uncle only to be forced to take care of a robot who acts like him. The second eliminates much of the goodwill that eliminates much of the goodwill of the first with the inclusion of a goofy robot, which detracts a little from the sinister nature. And I don't.
Is this a find out? Was it fuck around and find
Fuck
out
around and
type
find
of
out.
episode?
See, and I'm not sure. I don't
I mean,
think so.
kind of, but like I think it's more of like at least the way Triv described it in the review would definitely
Mm.
play it on like an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the world blind kind of thing where it's like being mean back isn't necessarily the answer, but it definitely plays up to that being like what she ends up doing, and then she sort of faces, ultimately this fate if she wants to continue with, having, I guess, I don't know, I would say like ownership of the house because
She
of
ain't
the
forced to
will,
stay.
or yeah, she's not forced to stay in those circumstances, but I think because she feels kind of stuck and because she doesn't necessarily even go out of the house, arguably in the episode at all. Like it's pretty much only set in the house. And even when she tries to go out of the house at one point in the episode, she ends up not going at all. Like I think there is something there where it's like she's
Sounds like a
like,
be careful what you wish for type of thing.
Yeah.
yeah, that too. It's like she's like almost like I was gonna say like like mentally. I think she's trapped, and she doesn't necessarily sees like a way out, even
Mhm.
though like hypothetically she can leave. But then I think because she's dedicated, like I think it's at like 25 years towards like helping out her uncle and like actually having that be sort of what her felt purpose was as part of even staying in the home. I'm sure at one point that was kind of the reason why she even stayed with her uncle versus it being more like as opposed to gravitating more towards her wanting the will basically to be hers, like what would come out of the will to be hers. I don't
Yeah, it
know.
ends up being like a misery loves company type of situation.
Yeah, that's a good, actually that's a good phrase to put it.
There's
Yeah,
that oh, sorry.
no. I was go ahead.
Well, the way that you guys are describing her, it kind of makes me think of like there was this saying about elephants. From the time that they were small, they would put them on a chain, like a relatively short chain, and then they would go around in circles, and the chain would never get bigger, even though they would. So even though in theory they could have broken that chain loose and left any time, they never considered that they had the strength to do so. And this is a case where even though everything was so bad and she was just waiting for him to kind of kick off to be able to get what she felt she deserved, she built kind of a box for herself and kind of trapped herself in it to be in that misery all the time. And not to say I think that she probably went in with good intentions and he just was a complete and utter shit from the start. I mean, who calls someone an angular turnip? But that kind of abuse obviously had an effect, and he was clearly one that reveled in it. So
I mean, well, no, I mean what I kind of like about the episode is that I've dealt with situations where working a job and people are complaining, but yet they continue working at that job. It's like you're kind of doing it to yourself. Like she could, as you got even I think Jacob, you said as well, you can leave, but you're not gonna get the money, and therefore they're willing to wallow in misery. I think that's what her character is kind of doing. But then she has her uncle who's making it even worse, and it just becomes what was it, cylindrical cycle, whatever you want to call it. Circular. Yeah, circular. Yeah, we'll just go with that because I don't know words tonight apparently, but
Yeah, it's a comfort zone thing too. It's you become it becomes routine. You become comfortable, and that's not comfortable isn't the right word, but it's what you know. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think part of it too is with Barbara given that this was like the 50s and 60s, it wasn't like she can just leave and like be able to find her own place in a job pretty immediately, even in that like time period. Like it was pretty different as far as like I guess how like gender or like how those like at least heteronormative gender tropes were between like men and women. I think especially in the workplace, like there definitely was more men over women working at that time versus I think now it's like, it's more common just for anybody and everybody to work if they want, and if they don't, then that's their choice kind of thing. But
I think at that point after World War II, she could have found a job. Now, I mean,
well, that's true,
you
but I guess it
about
depends.
If she find a job making a ton of money, that's a different story. But she
But I
wouldn't be
think,
able to find a job and have the lifestyle that she had been living in this mansion. But
yeah, that's true.
what's
But
more
like
important to you?
I mean, at least with some of the other like relationships we've even seen in the Twilight Zone, a fair share of them are have the man working and the mom working at home.
Oh yeah,
I
sure.
think there
for
is
sure.
that similar dynamic here, even if it's not like a husband and wife, it's like an uncle and like a niece sort of scenario. But I think it's still pretty applicable here where it's like, where if there was a bit of reality placed onto it, I don't think she necessarily would be. I mean, I'm sure they're like, I think it's like, at least with the will, it came across as you can have all or nothing too. And in that case, some people would be, I don't know. I don't know shit about wills or whatever, but I would say like, some people would be willing to take that on even like with the stipulations in mind, but I guess it just depends on the person.
it just feels horrifying. Like you have to be there, you can't leave. You have to take care of a robot that is learning to become human. It just seems like a horror story. But then you do it to yourself because you're too miserable to leave.
Well, in a way, he's like he created this clone of himself. Even if it doesn't look like him, it had this artificial intelligence within it that was so advanced to where it even sounded exactly like him, even if there wasn't like a name to the face in the same way that there was when he was alive.
Jacob, what do you think, man? Like, did you enjoy it? Or I know, I think, I think I know maybe I know where you headed with this one, but I'm just curious if you enjoyed it or not.
Well, I think they're both miserable people.
True.
I think he was a raving asshole who just wanted chocolate milk.
How long did
He's
it
like
take you to find that photo?
I found it a while ago.
Have you even been listening?
Jacob, you should have done the sponge.
That's what I was doing when I said ladies first.
You should have done the SpongeBob thing where they sell
truly
chocolate
was
to
the what? The iron butt?
There's a sponge.
No, it's the episode when SpongeBob, I think it's SpongeBob and Patrick, or just SpongeBob.
Yeah, they're selling chocolate.
Yeah, they're like
one guy gets addicted to chocolate.
I forget why they were selling chocolate, but I know it was like one of those door-to-door things. And
Ren
then there was
Stimpy
this
did that
guy
with
that
rubber
was
nipples.
like, what?
Ren and
what?
Stimpy did that with rubber nipples. With rubber nipple salesman. Would you like to try rubber nipples?
Were those for like baby bottles or something? What does that even mean?
Maybe they never really said, but the horse, Mr. No Sir, I don't like it, said, "Do you have any rubber walrus protectors?" And the walrus,
good old.
That's crazy.
That was the 90s.
I'm telling you,
yeah,
I'm telling you, the stuff we
TV.
watched in the 90s on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, it was some crazy stuff.
I mean, there was wild stuff like with some of the shows I grew up with, but
all
That
those
that's news to
crazy,
me.
like the Crazy Courage the Dog and all the
I've seen
insane-
Courage.
Yeah, but all those insane shows, they all started
Mhm.
with Ren and Stimpy. It was the first one to be
Yeah.
like, what the fuck am I watching? This is insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was like either Ren and
Mhm.
Stimpy or Beavis and Butthead. That's kind of
Ren and
how
Stimpy was
they
first.
was it?
Beavis and Butthead, yeah, Beavis and Butthead came around the same time. It was a few years later.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Fair enough.
yeah, but like it's just two shitty people, man. Like she is a gold digger. I mean, that sounds harsh, but that's the only reason she's staying. There's no,
Yeah. She even admits
sure,
to it.
she'd have to. I mean, she ultimately does. He's like, I mean, you can go, but if you want to keep this money, you have to stay and watch this robot. She's like, all right, I'll watch the goddamn robot,
Well, she
Yes.
didn't even know about the robot until he passed away, though.
or watch his experiments or whatever.
Like she just assumed she was gonna be able to get like money in the house,
yeah,
and
but
then it'd be like
when
she wiped her hands clean.
But when she finds out that, oh, it's just him, eventually she finds this out relatively quick. She stays. I
Mhm.
mean, I understand like putting the time in and then being like, I deserve this, but I feel like that could possibly be why she took the job to begin with is, oh, he's rich. I'll get that. I don't know. That's given the information I have, I feel as if she could quite possibly not be there for virtuous reasoning and just for self. She's there for herself. He's, for whatever reason, a crotchety old fuck, and he just degrades her at every turn. It doesn't sound like she's not quite as harsh as him, but she doesn't have nice words either. It's just a toxic relationship. I think Triv and Alex both said pretty much what I agree with. It's hard. You don't have to love your main character or characters in a story, but you have to have someone you can follow, you can go
Mhm.
on the journey with. I mean, Hannibal Lecter, perfect example. He's a cannibal murderer, but he's somebody that you can, at least to a degree, sympathize with, and you can want to go on a journey with him in these movies he's in. I don't want to be around these people. There's no, as far as this movie or show with this episode, this story is concerned, there's no redeeming qualities there. I mean, both of them are just, you feel bad for her because he's being a dick, but then I don't necessarily feel bad for him, but I stopped feeling bad for her because I'm like, well, I mean, just go. I mean, yeah, you're not gonna live in a mansion and have as much money, but just fucking leave. You were clearly doing this because you want the money. Like, as far as the rest of the episode, it's like as soon as I kind of even knew it before they got down there when they're looking for it. I was like, I bet it's gonna be like a robot or something, and it's gonna be similar to him, and that's what it was.
Well,
and like, there's not really a lot going on in the episode. Yeah,
well,
I don't want to.
that's actually
Mhm.
well, no, that's actually what I was why I thought maybe you didn't like the episode, because it takes quite a while, like almost over half the episode before we get any kind of Twilight Zone stuff. Because it's basically for half the episode, it's just I'm arguing. And I like the episode because I like sometimes watching Misery Loves Company when it comes to those types of things. And you watch stuff like Roseanne, you watch stuff like what's the one with Archie Bunker? Is that All in the Family?
All in the Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say
it's
even
all
Family
Misery.
Guy sometimes
Yeah.
Well, I
could
mean,
play along
and
with that
you
too.
like I said, you need to like your character. You either need to like your
Mhm.
character to follow them, or it needs to be a despicable character, which they are, that in the end really gets their comeuppance. So you are like, okay, that's why I went on this journey to get that payoff. And while, I mean, I guess they kind of do.
I mean,
he
that's
died.
just me. Yeah, just me personally. I liked what they did with these two characters. I like, how evil and manipulative Uncle
I don't-
Simon is, but I also like that there's like a foil to his evil manipulous.
I don't feel like that's the end of the story either.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
No,
the
not
bigger
necessarily,
end, the bigger end, the bigger Twilight Zone ending, we didn't, not that they didn't have, it's like it's further in the story. Like jump forward a few years, she's done this so long, and maybe she does the exact same thing. Well, she did do that, broke his leg or whatever, but I don't know, something else. I feel like there's more to the story that would make it pay off. As it stands, I just watched two shitty people be shitty to each other,
Mm.
and then they are stuck in a shitty relationship still. I'm like, well, that was
Yeah.
great. I mean, I didn't hate it by any means. It wasn't awful. It was fine, but I didn't really
It's like
I didn't feel very satisfied in the end. The end of it, I was not very satisfied by the ending.
I don't think
Well,
it
the
helped
thing-
either that this is like the second fatality via stairs that we've had in like within the span of a few episodes. I will
Right,
say
right.
that, but to kind of add on to like what Jake was saying a little bit, like I think I definitely agree with like what you guys have said as far as like why you dislike the episode, but I it's funny because I was like rethinking of Living Doll when like when I was hearing about what Jake was saying, because I feel like the way, the way the episode was conveying how the characters were assholes, and then it just remains in this sort of, it like simmers in this misery for the entirety of it. It gave off it trying to like at least for me, it just reminded me so much of Living Doll, not only with like him dying from that fall at the stairs, but like I would also say like as far as like the guy being an asshole, but to a point where I almost saw like that maybe if Robby the robot was like introduced earlier in the episode and almost existed in the same way the Living Doll did, maybe there could have been something that was more interesting
Maybe, but
there,
one
or
of the
like, or
things
maybe as a middleman, but that's just
one
me.
of the things that made Living Doll interesting is that character, Telly Savalas' character, was not a good person, but he may not. I don't know if I don't know if I want to go as far as to say he had redeeming qualities, but it seemed like closer to the end he was coming around and he was going to have redeeming qualities, like, which I guess that is a redeeming quality. Like he may be turning it around and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, possibly. He might be, the whole situation might make him, be a better person in the end and start to care for the girl or whatever. It was kind of left up in the air. We talked about that in the episode. But here, this guy and these characters don't really change from the ones we meet. There's no development of these characters. Like the character of the old man of Uncle Simon is essentially the same, which I'm going to lump him and the robot in because they're supposed to be more or less the same. His character is exactly the same from the beginning as he is in the end. And the woman is exactly the same in the end as she was in the beginning. There's no development. There's no growth.
Well,
I can
again,
at
I
least say
think
with
that
Telly
speaks.
Savalas did grow, or it seemed like he was about to, at least.
I think too that speaks to the rut. That routine of, she's in a place that she hates, and he just really enjoys being a dirty,
Yeah.
spindle skank carcass.
A spindle.
Skank carcass.
Misery loving company.
Is that-
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, for me, that was kind of, when was it Nick or you that said it? That perfectly encapsulates this episode.
But I don't know. I mean, is that something that deters you from liking the episode, Triv, or is it just? I mean, me personally, like I said, I don't mind it because
Right.
I feel like the payoff at the end is worth the squeeze of the actual episode, and I don't know. I just found it really
You feel
interesting.
satisfied
Like
in the
I'm
end?
not expect. Yeah, I did. I think it had like a great payoff. But once again, we're not talking about a. I'm not talking about a. This is a top 20 episode. This is definitely in the middle range of the series. But I just think it's maybe it's an episode that because I've seen so many times, I just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I look past its faults. But I get what you guys are saying because
Yeah.
when it comes to two miserable people, there's enough misery out in this world as it is that watching two miserable people on screen just continue to be miserable. It's like, why don't I just go back to watching, I don't know, The Simpsons or something, Treehouse of Horror. It's just I don't know. Yeah,
Now-
the news. I'll just go back and watch the news. Exactly.
Now, I'm of two minds for
the
this.
Daily Star show.
There you go. I'm of two minds about this. From the perspective of like the wordplay, including the prologue and the final comments, and there's so many like really awesome weird insults that get thrust back and forth throughout this thing. It almost feels like if you look at it, if you take away the context of what's going on, it could be like a stand-up routine between two people like doing a comedy duo kind
Like
of a
the
deal.
Odd Couple.
Yeah, it feels like it could have gone that route if there had been a laugh track. So from that perspective, I really appreciate the writing because it was sharp and interesting, and it was just so weird.
Who's on first?
Yeah, to some extent.
Who's downstairs?
Yeah, there you go. Knock knock, who's there? Hot chocolate. But from the other side, like it is an interesting story because this isn't all that uncommon of a storyline from that time. A family member, a younger family member gets stuck taking care of someone that, a rich relative that is either, never been married or, is just, crotchety and nasty and has gotten his way his whole life and, just hates everybody. Kind of an Ebenezer Scrooge type. It's not an uncommon thing. So this is, the latest in a long line of those. I think the characters were well played. They were played by people that knew how to do, how to play those roles well. But yeah, I guess from the perspective of I really enjoyed the wordplay. The actual story, it was good, but it felt more like even with the twist of the robot, it felt more dramatic than it did Twilight Zone-y.
I will
So
say,
there's
if it
that
was an
still.
hour long, I think we've all shot ourselves because it would have been, the worst thing ever. But
I mean, I could see honestly, and again, I don't think you would have. Again, I agree that you absolutely wouldn't have wanted to see an hour with this, but to have a little bit of background into how they came to this place, like if the niece, like
my
maybe
wife,
maybe started, there as say a 20-year-old and really loved him and respected him and stuff, to kind of see where they came from and where it went. But in the grand scheme, it's not something that's gonna make or break this episode. But it would be some interesting backdrop to get you deeper into those characters.
yeah,
What if she was the one who met a similar demise that she, I guess, sort of implemented towards her uncle?
I mean, it
like
would
if
have
she
been
became the robot.
Well, okay, that's not.
No, no,
Superman
No.
3.
No,
well,
but
no,
like
the reason I say
she
the
was
reason
the
I
one
say
who
that is
ultimately, okay.
Who's
So
Richard
she
Pryor?
ultimately, so Barbara ultimately pushed Uncle Simon down the stairs, right?
Mhm.
And basically just left him there to die, quintessentially. But there was potential that maybe she had a similar, sort of altercation with Robby the robot or the robotic Uncle Simon. And then she ended up being the one that got pushed
I yeah,
and was up
I'm
there.
gonna
And then it
I'm
was
gonna
like,
I want to add to that because I was thinking that too. But I want to say, what if, while we're doing a Marvel what if here, what if everything went down the way it was, and they could have made it an hour long at this point, and
Mhm.
when Robby the robot shows up, it slowly starts turning into him. But since he is like an infant growing into this person, even though
Mhm.
he has his personality, since
Mhm.
he hasn't had like all that bad stuff happen, he actually turned out to be a nicer version of Uncle Simon.
There you go.
And then
Mm.
she, with all her everything she has in her background with him, and just knowing that he's there, and with the guilt of having killed him, she becomes the ultimate asshole and is just real berating to the robot. And like
Mm.
over time, the robot's kind of put down and all this and that, so they switch roles. And then, like you said, the robot pushes her ass down the stairs in the end.
Mhm.
And then ends up
That
in
would have been more
robot jail.
interesting,
Yeah.
huh?
I
Yeah.
would
I
watch
just,
that.
what I was gonna say is, I just get this feeling that if she became the robot, they would turn her into this like nagging woman that we would have been like, "What the fuck is this?" Because it's so 60s with like how women were portrayed, and they turn into a robot, so they're turned into like Rosie the robot or something like that. Some
Franken.
nagging. Yeah, exactly.
Well, to add on to that, that different ending we were talking about after that, the robot, the little Will guy's going to come up and be like, "Well, you're the last one. Even though you're a robot, we're going to leave everything to you, but you have to watch over Barbara's science experiment, and it's another robot that's her." And we just have like this vicious cycle.
Just
Well,
like,
it could have potentially even been like, what's the episode that I'm thinking of? Ah, shit, I forgot I forgot the title. But like, well, actually, there are more than one examples of sort of robots that are more human-like, right? But it's
Oh,
very much known that they
Mighty
aren't.
Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Miney Casey or In His Image, or is
The
that one in
Lonely.
season 1? Yeah, The Lonely, thank you.
Ooh, yeah, that's a
Or
good
even
one.
The Lonely, where it's like potentially like Uncle Simon could have made an actual clone of himself,
Oh, and then she's banging
right?
him,
Where it's like,
like in The Lonely. They were banging, man, totally banging.
that's a whole other different version of events. But
In The Lonely, that's
I
absolutely
love
what's happening in The
I
Lonely.
love
They
that
were
you're using your
smashing it.
imagination. I'm so happy for you. But I feel like there could have been potential instead of it just being just this, basically just being this robotic hunk of sheet metal, which Robby the robot is not. He is number
he
one.
has feelings. He's a man with feelings and
We stand Robby the robot.
worlds.
And he
And
likes
So,
hot
this is
chocolate.
no discredit towards Robby the robot.
They
hashtag
end
Robbie
up
the
having a
robot.
Okay, but
romantic
I think that potentially
relationship.
I could have been more invested if it wasn't just like a robot. You know what I mean? Like if there was some kind of element of, oh, I'm going to create, because I know this has been explored in like science fiction about how I don't know, there'd be some kind of inventor or something who would want to, like, they would be very enamored with like the idea of immortality. And so how that would be, I mean, it's kind of been explored in different ways, but it could be like transferring one's brain sort of thing after death, or however else to be able to live in like a different body or live in a computer or something, or
Like a free jack.
or like
Exactly.
create a clone or clones of oneself to be able to
Alex has no idea
continue
what free
on
jack
life beyond. No, I don't.
is.
Well, hey, you know who did
But
that
I-
exact
yeah.
same. You know who did that exact same synopsis? The
No.
Treehouse of Horror.
Oh,
Of
God.
course.
See, but it's like it works well.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely been something that's been explored, but I wonder why they decided to cast Robby the robot in this episode, because aside from him
'Cause he's on the back line.
having like
Because he was
well,
available.
yeah, like I guess aside
Yeah,
from
he's on CBS's
convenience.
backlot.
Yeah, I guess aside
Have you
from
ever-
convenience, it's like they could have easily just had Cedric Hardwicke portray like both.
I mean,
Yeah,
and
they
then
have
did
a
some like
romantic
altering, like
relationship.
they could have had some like alteration and like
And they
his
bang.
voice sounded a little different, which is something that we have seen before. Or even I Sing the Body Electric had the same thing, where it's
She
like you didn't
catches
even
him.
see the actual like mechanics of her being a robot. It was just established that she just wasn't human.
And then she
You
catches
don't
him
even have to
fucking the
show that if
toaster.
that's like if budget was a huge concern, right? But I think
thought
there
she pushed
could have
him
been
downstairs
potential
again.
to have a bit more of that like humanity, but I think because of how artificial the like robotic Uncle Simon is, maybe at least to me in my mind, there's a bit of detachment in like how I feel invested in it. This is a crazy tangent on like
No, that's okay.
but yeah, I guess in conclusion, robots could look however they damn please, but if you're working
Are you
on some
saying
science
ha-
fiction, maybe
yeah,
take some
hashtag
time to
robot rights?
consider
Robots,
Okay.
robots' butts.
Woo.
yeah,
Clap
but I'd
them
say like maybe place some consideration in like
steel cheeks.
how you want the audience invested in said robot. If you want a fun moving around a beep boop robot, you can have that approach like a Robby the robot, or you can have one that is a little
Robby
more
got a lot of
human-esque.
attachments on
There's
there.
a whole spectrum. There's a whole spectrum with robots, but I don't know. I just don't feel like Robby the robot I think he just didn't. He's a wonderful actor. I just feel like maybe he was miscast.
No, I agree. I think you're right.
Or the fact that they
And-
need to stop using the same damn robot for every fucking movie and TV show. Use some
Well,
like
and they
like the
redid-
Elegy. Elegy, that's like a guy and it's a robot. It works.
That-
like
Yeah, that's
I
a,
just
that's
feel
a
like
good point too. Elegy, because like they've had
Yeah.
but that's a good point too. It's like if there are so many other episodes that use this similar concept, and if the Twilight Zone by season 5 is already like reusing certain like plot elements or certain
Mm.
story arcs, then it's like why couldn't they just use similar
I mean, how many
approaches
times
to
did they
how
use
they're
that house
tackling
set?
like science fiction concepts and ideas?
Oh yeah.
Like why
See,
try to like now have the artificial like robot thing when that isn't even something that they've played around much
Oh.
before?
The
maybe
problem
they're
the
wrong.
problem with that is, and Triv, you know this very well, there was a completely different perception of sci-fi in the early 50s and 60s. It was all robots and alien invasions and creatures from other
I
planets.
mean, there was a space age, right? So I'm sure a lot of
well,
it
but that
played
was
into
that was like that was coming in
It was
this
a little
era,
bit later.
but
That was not that
yeah,
it wasn't
like-
in this time, but that you're on the precipice of. Well, I guess
It was
no.
during the
but
because-
what
space
I'm
race.
saying,
yeah,
the space
yeah.
age was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Right, but I was thinking it
I-
was more so like when Kennedy kind of talked about stuff, but that was
Mhm.
he died in 63, so he would have done it, at least a year before
The space
this.
race was mostly
Yeah.
the 60s until
Yeah.
it culminated in the 69.
Right,
that's
right.
what
I'm just
yeah, that's
saying,
what I
like,
thought.
I'm just saying, like, the 50s and 60s sci-fi world was very not varied. It was always the same thing over and over and over. And you see it here. Like, every time there's a sci-fi story about a ship, it's a round circular ship with a robot that looks like Robby the robot. And I mean,
Flying
it gets a little
saucer?
boring after a while. Yeah, flying saucer. The round flying saucer. But
It
it's
was
the same
it
thing
was the
over.
Jupiter too. That's they use the same
Yeah.
ship over and over again. It was used for Forbidden Planet. It was also used for Lost in Space. It was.
Forbidden Planet
No.
is the treehouse of horror for the Twilight Zone. It
It
is
really is.
in every episode. There's something from Forbidden Planet in there.
It absolutely is, and I'm sure at this point in Twilight Zone, and they were in the last season, they weren't going to throw more money at a thing than they were needed to. So
Mhm.
they probably. I mean, not
subsidized
that that's
the budget of Forbidden
But
Planet.
they
for Twilight
arguably
Zone.
like kind of did with this episode. Like, because if you removed Robby the robot, then it's like maybe they could have saved a bit of money by just having the same
yeah,
sort of 3 actors. I mean, we just had an episode of few.
and then they could have.
I mean, we just had Last Night of a Jockey where it was just Mickey Rooney
yeah.
speaking to himself. So I don't think
But,
it's necessarily impossible, but
But I think too, being that they were on the MGM lot, they already had access to Robby the robot. I don't know that it would have been an extra cost to bring him on versus not bringing him on. You know, it's
Where
more a
was
set
this
decoration.
robot ingesting this chocolate milk?
That's a good question.
it's hot chocolate, Jacob.
Oh, hot chocolate. I'm sorry, my bad.
It's really oil. It's like hot chocolate that's just oil.
Oh God.
Well,
Isn't it kind of like in robots though, where like what was there's a certain moment in like the Blue Sky movie robots where it's like I think they drink oil or something, but it just like it's not like digested or anything. It just kind of like it just goes through them, and then it's like
Alex, I hate to say
I
it,
don't know.
but robots
thinking of
is
the
like
right movie?
Cars. It's a horror story. It's a horror film.
okay, but at least
Is
It's
at
like
least there
they
wasn't a
ordered
that
trilogy.
we're going for.
You're
as far
lucky
as,
there
like,
wasn't a trilogy of robots
sci-fi
movies in the
robots?
same way that there were 5 Ice Age films. Okay,
Dear God.
we could have had
Dear God.
And I've seen all of the Ice Age movies, and I
Dear
Unfortunately,
don't know
I
why
have as well.
Could have
I've been to
Shark's
I've-
Tale 2 as well. So
Yeah.
Oh God, I've been to every Ice Age film in
Listen.
the theaters. So
Oh
I'm
my
right there
God,
with
really?
it.
in theaters.
Yeah, I
Okay,
went to
you're
see
the
Ice
worst.
Age. I went to see the original Ice Age because of a Star Wars trailer. Or maybe that was Monsters Inc. One of the two had Star Wars trailer.
That's
That's
awesome.
that's the only reason I went to
That's
see
funny.
Meet Joe Black is because of the Star Wars trailer.
Dude,
Yeah.
I was
Wish you got a nap
subjected
after
to
some
every
trailer.
single Land Before Time movie because of my nieces.
I
saw the
remember working
original
at
Aren't
it.
there
Before
like
Time.
15?
Yes.
Well, I
I have
remember-
heard about this before. Yeah.
I remember
I saw the original in
working at-
theaters.
Oh,
I think I
On
did
the way,
too.
we went to Pizza Hut, and I got the cup topper that was like also a puppet. You
Nice.
stick your hand in its ass, and hi, I'm Littlefoot.
that's how
No,
they
I remember
talk,
working
too.
at I was working at a video store, and I remember every year on Clockwork there'd be a new Land Before Time, and people would come and get it. It was like a Clockwork type of thing for 15 years or whatever it was. No, not to inflate Jacob's ego, but you know the best sci-fi story of the Twilight Zone is the Invaders. I think it did the sci-fi very well. That's just my opinion. Like that, I think it does it a little bit differently than most of the stuff. Like I know Robby the robot is a creation, an invention of a human being, but it's still a robot that looks like it came from outer space. I don't know. I still like him. I like how he's like R2D2. He has sass. Like, give me my hot chocolate.
Bitch.
I will
Yeah,
say the
exactly.
narrations in this episode are actually pretty good.
Especially
yeah.
the
I will
opening
give it
narration.
that.
The
I'll
opening
give it
Alex,
narration
stop
is
trying to
something
put us
cool,
back
yeah.
on track. Stop trying to put it back on the rails.
So
We're
you
off the
want
rails.
us
We're
to go
talking
back
about
on?
Land
You
Before
don't
Time.
want us to go back on track? Okay, that's on record.
I
Don't
don't
cut that
know.
out.
I
Don't
wanna-
cut that
I wanna
out.
talk about Land Before Time. No, I mean we have been
Well, you
talking
know-
for like an hour, so I guess it is
know-
about that time.
You know what the
I mean, we
the
can just
little-
talk about Land Before Time right after this.
We could.
It's
Yeah.
just
Well, you
some
know
random
the
ass
little
Pivot
puppets.
into
like
Fievel.
after show.
Fievel goes west.
Oh, I
Pivot.
love Fievel. Giant
Oh,
mouse
they're coming out
is-
Funko Pops.
Yeah, God. Well, you know the giant mouse of
Pivot.
Minsk scared the shit out of me as a kid.
The what?
The giant mouse of Minsk in
Oh,
Land
in-
Before
in
Time,
Land-
not or
Wait, which was
American
scarier,
Tail?
that or
I saw
which
that
was
in
scarier,
theaters,
that
too.
or well, no, but which was scarier, that or Secret of Nim?
Secret of Nim.
Secret of Nim.
Hey,
Secret of Nim is. I watched that actually like just a couple of weeks ago. Showed it to my kids. I was like, "Damn, this movie's kind of scary."
Good old Don
I have to
Bluth,
check
man.
out Secret of Nim.
Oh, it's
If you want to
really good.
see what crazy animated films from Don Bluth were like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That was
I actually
like
just
shit.
bought his do I have it with me? No, it's set aside, but I just bought his book recently. A couple
Nice.
Isn't
weeks
he
ago
like
to
He's-
Mitt
check out.
Romney's
he's a
like
crazy-
cousin or something? Like,
Yeah.
He's what?
he's like Mitt Romney's second cousin, or I don't know.
That
Some
makes
shit like
a
that. Some
lot of
random,
sense,
What?
actually.
random trivia I heard the other
Oh
day.
man, that's crazy.
That makes
I was watching a
whole
video
lot
about
of sense.
Space Ace and it said that, and I was like, "What?" Yeah,
Space Ace. What a quality game.
Yeah.
Space Ace.
What's the name of it? Somewhere Out There, My Animated Life by Don Bluth. I just
Ah.
got that to read.
Don Bluth was an asshole too, or he is an asshole. He's still alive, I think, but
Like
Was
in an
he?
auteur way of being an asshole, or just like
no, yeah, he was notoriously
John
known
K.
for being a
kinda way.
hard ass.
mm.
He's one of those notorious hard asses like a Steve Jobs.
I've heard like Hayao Miyazaki was like
Oh, he's
all
a
the
kind
greats
douche.
of like
He's a
very
douche canoe.
auteur like
They're not
yeah.
assholes. They just want perfection. Look at James Cameron. Everybody says he's an asshole, but he just wants
Yeah.
shit done his way.
You know who they say?
A lot of
You know who they
artistic
say is an
people are
ass?
Good, I guess.
Well, you know who they say is an asshole, but is a pretty decent guy? Michael Bay.
Yeah, I mean, they say
Michael Bay
Uwe Boll's a really
explosions.
nice guy. Look at his movies.
Adam Sandler, I've been told, is like at least what I've been told according to like media interviews, or even when they did that tribute for him in the Kennedy Center, or for like the Mark Twain award or whatever. It's
Who?
like people didn't. I mean, people had a lot of nice things to say about him.
Who are we talking about?
Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I said something
Yeah,
about
I've heard
Uwe
it- I've heard
Boll,
he's a
and he
nice
was like,
guy.
that thing we had where I was like, no. Ain't nobody doing any kind
Yeah.
of like tributes to him. They should.
Guys,
Have
we
it for
tangented
Island.
all over the place.
I know. Alex is like, we need to stay on target. I'm like, no, we're
we
gonna talk
come,
about
we,
Don
we
Bluth.
come
Damn
and
it.
we
I
came
mentioned Don
and
Bluth,
went.
and then it's just like a web.
all
Yeah.
downhill. We came and went and goed all over the place.
This might be the longest we've gone without doing the opening narration. People were like, when are they gonna?
No.
They come on
One
the
time we had
podcast
to
to hear
do it
about.
after we did the closing.
True.
That's
I
true.
think if it's like if we don't do it in the
Don't
first
talk
like
about
10
that.
minutes of like talking, then it's like it's just whenever. I
Wherever
feel
Yeah.
like
we're meant to be.
Jay,
it's like
we're not
after
allowed to
those
tell-
intro statements, it's like if we don't go on to the narration, then it's like we're just gonna start chatting about it. Be like, all
Yep.
right,
I mean,
let's just get to it, I guess.
At some point, these guys had to remind me that we were supposed to do an opening narration, and it's after we finished recording. All right, Jacob, let's do the opening narration because they demand it. 50% of the audience demands it.
Won't stay up. Dramatis personae, Mr. Simon Polk, a gentleman who has lived out his life in a gleeful rage. And the young lady who's just beat the hasty retreat is Mr. Polk's niece, Barbara. She has lived her life as if during each ensuing hour she had a dentist appointment. There is yet a third member of the company soon to be seen. He now resides in the laboratory, and he is the kind of character to be found only in the Twilight Zone.
Ooh.
So
Jacob,
Nick,
that
what's
was
the plot?
beautiful. The plot is a man and a woman find love, then they have kids, then the kids find love, they have kids,
And they're related.
and they're related to apparently Robby.
It's a Kentucky love story.
Oh, good lord.
Oh my god. No, I mean, yeah, it's we pretty much talked. See, that's the problem. Like, you want to know the plot, but I think we've pretty much talked about the plot. It's just about a woman who
I
has
think we were
been
about to
taking
get
care
to
of
the
her.
ranking, weren't we?
Oh, shit. Oh my god. No, I
First,
mean,
we have to
that's just the
have
plot.
hot chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. We had
Uh.
to have Starbucks hot chocolate because that's the only place I can find that has good hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
No, but you gotta go to like there's certain restaurants you go to where it's like I don't know like a really good diner or somewhere where they'll just have like hot chocolate that just like slaps. And you're like, holy shit, this hot chocolate's really good.
We don't have
Well,
that
you
stuff
need
in other parts of the country, Alex.
That in Starbucks.
I know. Not all of us have In-N-Out Burger, Alex. Gosh. Some of us have
Burger's pretty
Wawa
mid in
and-
my opinion. That's a hot. I know it's a
I
hot
agree.
take.
I actually agree with that.
I was
actually.
gonna
In-N-Out's pretty
say.
mid.
I was
Give me
gonna
some
say,
Five
El
Guys.
Polo Loco.
if
Go
you're gonna
Five Guys,
go,
you don't get a
then
grocery
you go
bag of fries.
Culver's.
Like it's good to try
See-
like once if you come to
Yeah.
California, but then other than that, it's like I don't know.
Just give
It's
me
like,
some
I
El
prefer
Pollo
other
Loco.
places. Yeah.
What? No Culver's?
El Polo. What's
El Polo
no? You gotta
Loco.
get
is
Taco
it?
Bell.
No, El Polo
Tacos
Loco
are-
is like some of the best.
Hey, Del Taco
Come
was just
on.
voted the #1 fast food restaurant in America.
They have 2 of those in
Is
Is that
Orlando.
dethroned-
real?
Yeah, it dethroned Chick-fil-A for the first time in like 20 years or
Well, I
something.
mean, that's
my
not
God.
very.
No
To be
way
fair,
that's
Jacob, that's not very
real.
difficult.
Number 2 dethroned Chick-fil-A as well. Chick-fil-A's now number 3. You know what number 2 is?
Taco Bell.
KFC.
Arby's.
Owned,
Oh,
owned
really?
by the same company as Taco Bell.
So as Alex says, she really wants to know the plot of this episode because maybe it'll make her like the episode more. But um, Barbara, miserable woman, Simon Polk, Uncle Simon, sadistic a-hole, abusing her for 25 years. She now wants him dead, so she pushes him down the stairs. And was it the guy that Schwimmer, the
Pivot.
Will reading guy? Pivot. That's what he kept saying. Pivot. Anyways, basically, she tells
Did
him
she
she's
really
like,
push him though?
in the heat of the moment, which I think she
I don't
did.
think she pushed him. He like just raised up his cane and she grabbed the cane and then it like zoomed in on her face. I would like to also point out the zooms in this episode. Did anyone else see it?
It was
were
very
pretty weird.
strange.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
They were
zooms.
weird choices.
A
I
lot
think
of
I think
zooms.
the cinematographers were like, it's gonna be still otherwise, guys. I want something to do.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing moving.
So,
It was
like,
done-
they're
have you
like,
never watched-
let's have a little fun.
like smash
Have you-
just
Have you
Mhm.
never watched Dirty Harry? Isn't there like smash zooms in that movie too?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a 1970s like exploitation like city
Yeah, they do that in
action movie.
Easy Rider, like when they're like crashing and at the end of the episode, at the end of the movie, it's just like a really big like quick zoom, quick smash zoom.
Like in Kill Bill when like it would zoom in on her
Yeah.
face. But it was just regular moments in the episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, anywho, yeah.
No,
but yeah, she
the-
just grabbed his cane and it zoomed in on her, and then it zooms out and he's at the bottom. I was like, did she hit him or did like he just
Well, I
lost
You
think
his
didn't
she,
hear
like,
the
I think
Wilhelm
if anything,
scream.
she pushes the cane away. So it's
No,
like in a way
maybe.
she kind of pushes him, but it's not like. I mean, at
Maybe.
most, it's like a shove in response to her refusing to get hit physically. But
We just needed a Wilhelm
Yeah.
scream. That would have solved everything.
I probably missed it because at that point the episode had pushed me away.
it was just missing a living doll that would be on the like in the middle of the staircase.
You just wanted a hot chocolate.
I do want a hot chocolate right now.
That sounds pretty good.
Why? But
Chris said
you
that
know,
sounds good. You know what else sounds good?
it's
Damn
the
fucking Target and
summer
finish
though.
this shit.
I mean, once again, Jacob, you always allude to the fact that episodes take forever sometimes to get going.
Like this
We don't
one.
see the robot till like 5 minutes before the episode ends, and
Well,
it's like
it
five.
had to
It's literally like 5-10 minutes or something like that.
it's like
not very-
halfway through.
But that makes you question: is it really a Twilight Zone episode at that point? Until like the very, it just feels like, oh, we're gonna write about an abusive husband again. See how
Well,
this plays out.
The narration establishes that it's like that part of the plot is the introduction of said third member that's
in the laboratory.
I was afraid a character, the kind of character to be found only in the Twilight Zone, is essentially Robby the robot.
That is said.
So in a way, it's like then they subsequently are in the Twilight Zone when Robby's introduced because it's a little more surreal.
Yeah,
Indeed.
is when the zones of Twilight start.
But
You
who's to
know,
say?
You think Edward would have been good in this episode? Twilight,
I
More
would have
Jacob
voted
fan.
Team Robbie the robot.
Team Robbie the robot.
I
Yeah.
would-
It seems
been
it seems like
Robbie the
everybody's on
robot.
board with Robbie the robot, but just not the rest of the episode except for me. I think that's where it comes down to. I think everybody's like Robbie robot, hashtag robot rights, and here I am like, hey, here's a story
Honestly, I'm on the
about
side
an
of
abusive
the
woman and her lovely uncle.
I'm on the side of the solicitor. Like I don't know why, but I really jived with the lawyer guy. Like he was
There's
just
a
as
sign that says no
confused.
soliciting.
Yeah, Schwimmer was pretty like, I'm here if you need anything. Cool.
Yeah.
Just
Like
He
he
just,
was
he just
my
comes
job.
back.
I was like,
He just
"Robot?"
comes back in the middle of it. He's like, hey, how you doing? How's the robot
Mhm.
treating you?
I mean, couldn't she have just ignored the
Mhm.
robot?
I don't
Like-
think the robot's like. I think the robot is just too. It's like a cat or a dog. It's just too damn needy.
But like that day she didn't leave. Just
Well,
fucking
but
leave.
Also, yeah, but
It's not
also
gonna
that
die, it's a
robot is
robot.
like that robot is a lot bigger than her.
And how does it get
Already.
down the fucking stairs? Is it like having
He
joints?
had legs.
The Twilight
how
Zone
does-
can
and he had a
answer
hell of
that
an ass too.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
That's- He's a thick boy. He's a thick boy.
Yeah.
I mean, grr.
you think he has like?
I mean, did Did you see those buns of
They're
steel?
like,
I
look-
mean, there's no lack of iron in that
Buns
boy's
of
diet.
Like,
aluminium.
You could,
Clap them buns of steel. Clank,
that
clank,
boat
clank.
was both made of nickel, and you could bounce a nickel off of it.
Do you think it would have been like this episode would have been better if like the robot worked at a strip club or something like
He
that?
had quite a lot of metal in that ass.
Yeah.
Oh.
It could have been like the adventures of Bicentennial Man. You could have seen Robby the robot just
Bicentennial
explore
Man's
life.
ass wasn't as nice.
I don't know. It was
Kind
pretty
of
I'm
weak
just-
smooth too.
sauce. It was weak sauce.
He had a
Oh.
smooth rumpus as well.
Yes, but it wasn't as awesome.
His gluteus wasn't
it-
as maximus as Robby's. Robby had them ass bubbles for days.
Oh my god. But I mean, in the end, like she stays. She whatever that word is, she accepts her fate after she tries to push Robby down the stairs. Did she push Robby down the stairs? Robby the robot?
Oh, she
Yeah.
pushes that. She
Mhm.
pushes,
Yeah, she pushes his
Mr.
ass.
Robby the robot.
Like, I've done this once.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's do it again.
Yeah, and Robby the robot's like, I'm starting a union for robots.
He didn't
Turns
tell
into
he
a-
didn't tell Schwimmer.
Right?
She pushed me down the stairs.
I like the whole brace thing that they had for Robby too. It's
Broke
like,
my
okay,
fucking bubble leg.
who built that? You know?
Well, the most unrealistic thing about this episode is the fact that the robot goes, I'm a young little kid learning. I'm like, you know, if you know anything about kids and you know when they do stuff or they watch stuff, they're like, Daddy, Mommy, blah 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 is doing this and that. And the robot didn't do that.
Is that what they
So
do?
Jacob, I don't know. I'm assuming they tattletale on their brothers and sisters all the time.
Oh fuck yeah, they're
That's
all
how it
little
was when I was a
narcs.
kid, right?
This is definitely one of those episodes that was very, even though there was kind of that action involved, it definitely was more like wordy or more like chatty between the characters, I
Mhm.
would say. I think in part with some of the jobs they, like Barbara and Simon kind of pit against each other, but I would say in general, there definitely was quite a bit of dialogue. There was a bit more telling than showing.
Yeah,
so
because
to
Rod
say,
Serling
but
was
it-
definitely
yeah.
in his thesaurus in this episode when it came to words.
I mean,
Angular
even in the
turnip.
narrations, this man was like, you know what, we gotta make the most of it. It's like I gotta get this,
Yeah.
I gotta get the script done by Friday, like 8
Right.
o'clock. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna have fun with it. Damn it! Did he?
You
even
think
write
these
the
are like?
episode? Oh, he did.
You
Right.
think these are expressions he was giving CBS executives, like them damn
Oh yeah,
angry, angular carrot turnips and stuff?
Raggedy Ann carcass.
Wear your clothes
Bovine
on the
crab.
inside.
Maybe he was thinking about like maybe it was around like someone's like shitty uncle or something, like I don't know, like a pal's distant cousin's like grandson's uncle who was just a little toxic, and he was like,
Raggedy
you
Ann,
know what,
son
that's
of
a
bitch.
great
Yeah.
season 5 episode right there. Let's go ahead.
See Rod
and see
Serling
what
being a son of a
happens,
bitch
you know.
man.
Son of a bitch,
Not
man.
fucks and shits and things like that. I see him calling people sons of bitches and not sons of bitches, you son of a bitch. I can see son of a bitch coming out of his mouth.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Would he be the kind to
Um,
say
he
you
would
look like
add
you wear
another insult
clothes
on top of
underneath
it.
your clothes?
Yeah, he'd be like, you're a turnip
And
flavored
then get
bluesy son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
With the
Something.
cigarette in hand, of
Yeah.
course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I do like
brand.
when she gets mad at Uncle Simon. She's like, "How do people like you live, or how like animals like you live, but good people die?" And that's when she grabs a cane and he falls to his death.
You filthy animal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that diss before towards people who are just pretty shitty.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, yep, I've heard that before.
I mean,
I was
think
just
it's a-
wondering.
I've heard that before actually with like true crime docs. Sometimes they're like
Ohioans.
genuinely there'll be like a moment where it'd be
Floridians.
like some kind of like interview with like, I don't know, a victim or a victim's family member or something, and they're like,
There's a monster like
I
that
just don't
survives,
understand
not
why
my
this
baby.
murderer is alive. But then all these other people are dead. And it's like, well, you know what? That's a wonderful question.
That's
to
one of those
just
deeply
ponder about,
philosophical questions if you're talking religion or general humanity or whatever. Because it's why did this person die at 60 or 40 or 20
Yeah.
when this other asshole over here made it to 105?
Yeah.
Because your
I am
state does
wondering-
not have the
But-
death penalty.
True.
Yeah. Definitely in true
I
crime,
am-
though, I hear that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I am wondering when she starts hearing the robot like talk like her uncle, if that's just her hearing it like that, or the robot actually starts talking like that. Like, yeah, I wonder if she's just kind of accepted the fact that it's her uncle all over again, because it's like, as Jacob alluded to, close the blinds and give me my hot chocolate. When am I gonna get my hot chocolate?
It could be a blend of both. Like maybe
Mm.
more the actuality, it's like the tone or like inflection of the words is very similar to Simon, but it's not actually like Simon's voice communicating through Robby the robot. But that's just kind of
Yeah.
her sort of like that's how she's sort of mentally interpreting it, because she still feels very like stuck in
Right.
the living situation. So
Is there any trivia on this?
Not really.
I looked at Zakri's book and it was just him being like, yeah, this isn't a great episode. It was just a small paragraph. And I was like, you know what? Okay, King. Fair enough.
I mean, the one thing they say is that the next episode of Twilight Zone wouldn't be aired for 2 weeks because of the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, that's right. These were coming out. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, this is
You
the
say
same
that
living
as
room
I'm
and
staring at the cover of JFK. That was really weird. Like, no shit.
synergistic.
Wait, that's wild timing given like
I swear to
even
God, I'm
current
looking.
events recently. Saying that's wild.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that actually reminds me. The last episode of The Boys for season 4 was called Assassination Run. It aired the week that
No way.
they had to change.
Oh,
Yeah, they had
wow.
to change the title. No, it wasn't even. It was like because that episode had already been done, and I had
Mhm.
seen that episode
Yeah.
like weeks prior. So it was called, but it was like in the same week that Trump got. So they changed the title to just season 4 episode finale.
Yeah.
The living room and entry hall sets were previously used in miniature, by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I did visually recognize it. I recognized
It's
those
like-
stairs in that doorway for
Probably
sure.
Probably the same stairs from like
I promise I wasn't gonna say it. Because I didn't want to be like,
You know
hey,
those
my
stairs-
favorite episode.
You know what those stairs were used in Treehouse of Horror?
I was.
They probably were. Oh
I'm
man.
sure.
In all fairness, like the episode ends with her just kind of submitting to the fact that she is now, once again, the money could go to college fund, but she's like, I'm gonna keep the money. So she does it to herself. So there's not really like a I'm sorry, I feel sorry for her, because in the end she just does it to herself. And I still appreciate that, because it's still just like, you get what you wish for, but I don't know. You guys think a little bit differently about that kind of stuff. So once again, could go to a good cause. Nope. She's just gonna live in misery
Well,
for the rest of her life.
I do kind of, and I agree with you that like she could have loosened herself from this burden and gone off and done her own thing. But if she's been working for him for 25 years, not really left the house, she doesn't have a place to live. She has whatever clothes that she's got, but she doesn't have work history outside of this. And not to say that you couldn't get a job as a maid or whatever, but it's always that thing about when you talk abuse cases, it's it's not comfortable, but it's known. And to
Yeah.
leave that and to take on the burden someplace else, I mean, that would be, how would you find a place? What
It was
money does she
1964.
have?
She could have been a secretary.
No, you're absolutely
That's what
right.
it
But
was.
does she
There's
have
sort
the
of a
skills
lack
to,
of
but
yeah.
does she have the technical know-how to be that if she's
Mhm.
been with him for 25 years?
Yeah, there's sort of a lack of like sense of self too.
Yeah.
It's like I think especially for folks in like caretaking positions, or I mean this could easily be applicable with people who get very absorbed with like work over like other things or like other like facets of their life, where it's like you can just get so consumed with something and only know that is like what you know that's sort of how your path has been up to this point, that it's like do you even know who you are, or like who you want to be, or like do you even like understand that there's kind of more beyond what you have that you can potentially like seek out, kind of thing. But I guess it just depends on the person.
Yes.
AV Club writes, Uncle Simon is spectacularly strange, spectacularly unpleasant episode of television. It features two of the nastiest people of work you'll ever see, that and then invites you to sympathize with one of them just because she's not as bad as her asshole of a elderly uncle. And then she kills him, and the episode pivots to a place where you're meant to want the uncle to get revenge from beyond the grave, except you don't particularly want to spend too much time with either of these people. I actually found myself looking forward to the brief appearances by the lawyer Schwimmer Pivot, who at least seems
Yay.
to find something like
Pivot.
joy in his life. He even seems appropriately entertained by the vision of the robot. So they kind of agree with you guys.
Mhm. I
Miserable
would
people.
say, yeah. I mean, I would say it's one thing to have an episode with unpleasant characters that's still engaging to watch. And then it's another thing when you stay in that kind of unpleasant, like uncomfortable environment throughout the entirety of the episode, and then it just starts and ends in the same place. Like there's
Mhm.
certain movies that'll start and end with the same shot for like more so for like aesthetic reasons, but also to have almost like a storybook beginning and end, right? But it just even with that sort of like begin to end sort of look at it, it's like it just doesn't feel like, at least to me, it just doesn't feel like anything really happened, even though there was stuff that happened at the same time. Like it just felt like one of those episodes where I was like sort of like everything and nothing kind of existed, and then it's like you just carry on to the next episode, at least if you're binging it, and then it's like, okay, like I can move on, like it's pretty centered, but it's like, I don't know, at least from a Twilight Zone episode, it's like, we're so used to seeing that beginning and end be so different or to subvert certain expectations. And I think the reason why I see it as being just very middle of the road and even lower is just because, I think as we discussed with certain episodes, it's like, I mean, you don't want a Twilight Zone episode, at least for me, to just be like good enough or to just be kind of mid. I'd
Mhm.
like for all the episodes to be pretty solid. I'd like to be able to take something out of it. And I feel like with this one, I feel like I was just kind of reaching a bit with, just liking Robby the robot. But yeah, I guess this is how I kind of feel about it, where it's like, I don't know. If I'm going to watch something for, I don't know, a minute, 30 minutes, an hour, it's like, I want to be engaged with it the entire time. I don't want to I don't want to watch something from start to finish and be like, wow, I didn't really like watching it kind of thing. And I feel
Uh,
like it just didn't have a whole lot for me to take away from it, I guess. But
Mhm.
that's just me.
I mean, we could be watching of late, I think, at Cliffordville or World According to Horace Ford.
Okay, but at least here's the thing with Cliffordville. At least the lady who played the devil was really fucking phenomenal at portraying the devil, in my opinion. I
So
would watch the scenes in Cliffordville to be able to watch her performance. But in this one, I wouldn't go back and watch scenes with Robby the robot because there just wasn't much for him to even do within the episode
what if
itself.
Robby the Robot played Horace Ford? Would you watch that then?
Honestly, maybe. I mean, you know what? Maybe. If Robby the robot was just the main character in every episode, there's that alternative universe, then,
What if
why the fuck
Robby the
not?
Robot and Nan Adams had a road trip movie together? Would that be awesome? She just kill people.
Yeah.
He just where's his hot chocolate at? Be like a Rain Man situation.
No, but like there should be, oh my God, there should be an episode where it's like all the living inanimate objects like just sort of exist in the same plane. It's like you have like the living doll and like Robby the
Yeah,
robot.
it is.
Like
It's
the
called the Twilight
wax
Zone Tower of
figures in
Terror.
the new exhibit. Like, you just have all these like the after hours, like,
Yeah,
sort of
it's the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror.
mannequins, the toys and 5 characters, like just have all of them just show up for a good like shindig
There you go.
or I don't know, like a small town dance. I don't know. I don't know how events are. Events are held, but
I'm
I
down.
Like the Black Mirror Museum episode of Twilight Zone. I'm telling you,
well,
you
maybe
go.
the one that's like more meta, where it's like it's kind of like a almost Gotham from Batman the Animated Series, where it's like just everyone, these quite a few people show up, and the commonality between all of them is just, yeah, Rod Serling, he made me this way. I
Right.
almost got him.
I mean, we could always ride the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror at Universal.
Good
It's
ride.
not a
It's
Universal,
at the
Nick.
front of Universal when you first get there.
It is.
My God.
Jacob has done the Clockwork Orange on me and made me realize that it is at Universal. Draw the eye droplets.
Triv, help me out here.
I've never been there. You're talking to the wrong damn person.
No, it's not true.
It's Mandela effect, I'm telling you.
Okay, but is this conversation from when we did Living Doll?
It's conversations every week, I think now.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, at this
Triv
point,
basically, okay, so when you were gone and we were talking about Living Doll, basically what happened is that I think it was Jake who was talking about going on a vacation to Universal Studios. I don't know where the fuck this conversation came from, except for maybe we were talking about the Twilight Zone ride or whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, the one at Universal, right? And then, of course, I was like, no, it's Disney, because it's like based on, there was also the movie, and so it was in the Disney parks.
Mhm.
And then now they're just like, no, it was in the front of Universal Studios, like Universal Orlando. And I was like, it's never been Universal ever, as far as licensing and shit. Like I was like, I felt crazy. So I
You're
was
not.
like,
This is like
They are.
like Triv trying to tell us that peanut butter and cheese works together. It just
But it
doesn't.
does.
well, it's only one way to find out.
Yes. Suck it up,
Oh.
cupcake, and try it.
See, you just need to go to Disney World again and just go to Hollywood Studios. Just go where Fantasmic is. It's like, just go all the way where they hold that show, and then there will magically be a Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. And I'm telling you that has existed since it opened in like the 90s.
If someone's willing to pay my way, I'm there with bells.
Triv, if you wear the bells, I'll pay.
I gotta go find some bells.
There you go.
Anyway.
All
moving on.
right. Before we get to the closing narration, is there anything else you guys want to say on the episode? Anything you
I
guys want
want
to
some
bring
of
up?
the damn hot chocolate.
Reach.
Triv wants some damn hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Say
I think Jake does too.
we'll put some Carolina Reaper in that hot chocolate.
I was gonna say Mexican hot chocolate is really good.
I've never had
Mm.
Mexican hot chocolate, but it does sound good.
It is good.
Is that what
I've
is
heard
that
it's
with
good.
cinnamon or
It
something like
sounds
that?
like something dirty.
No,
Like
that's
a Bill
that's a
Cosby
dirty
sweater or
Sanchez.
something. It's one of those things where it's got some weird like name that seems, innocent enough.
Oh, like a Cleveland steamer.
Blue waffles,
Oh,
shit like
what?
that, And like
Cleveland
then you look
steamer.
it up and you can't unsee it. There's not enough
But-
bleach for your eyeballs.
Jacob,
Mexican
that
hot
dirty thing
chocolate's
is
something
the
really dirty. It has to
that-
do with
that-
buttholes.
you sound like the guy from 40-Year-Old Virgin. He starts talking about butthole pleasures.
Buttholes.
What the fuck?
You gotta watch 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's pretty funny.
I saw it
The-
when it first came out.
Yeah. it's
Kelly
really
Clarkson.
funny. Love that movie's so funny. But anything else before we get Jacob doing the closing narration? Going once,
No.
going twice.
Old
times a lady.
American.
Actually, wouldn't the Bill Cosby version be hot chocolate Jello?
This is a Bill Cosby
Ew.
sweater.
That sounds.
Actually, they had pudding that was s'mores pudding.
Wouldn't
was
be
really good.
surprised.
Want some of my
Delicious.
pudding pop?
Closing
Okay.
narration.
Jacob, Triv's forcing us to do the closing narration.
Fine.
I know. I'm sorry. I tried.
Dramatis personae, a metal man who will go by the name of Simon, whose life as well as his body has been stamped out for him, and the woman who tends to him, the lady Barbara, who discovered belatedly, that all bad things don't come to an end, and that once a bed is made, it's quite necessary that you sleep in it. Tonight's uncomfortable little exercise in avarice and automations from the Twilight Zone.
There's actually a trivia of Twilight Zone book that's $2.22 on Kindle.
$222?
No, $2.22.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Probably where most people's minds would go.
Right. There's even trivia about the Invaders. There's a Kevin Bacon Twilight Zone thread. Interesting.
Kevin Bacon.
That's what it says. I don't know. It only
Like
has a
7 degrees
3.9
of
on
Kevin Bacon?
Amazon. Yeah.
Hmm.
Actually, I think didn't Deadpool make a Kevin Bacon joke or somebody made a Kevin Bacon joke? I can't remember what. All right, everybody's gotten quiet now. I guess we should go continue. Jacob, we'll talk later about this 222 book. Anyways, so with that said, that is season 5, episode 8, called Uncle Simon, the greatest episode ever to grace the Twilight Zone ranking list. So yeah, next segment, Twilight Zone ranking list. The greatest ranking list ever since Uncle Simon said so. Number 1.
Oh yeah, the
101.
list.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
I'm gonna say 101.
101.
Do you guys want to know where it was for IMDb?
Oh yeah, we probably should do that.
Paste it was 99 and IMDb it was 124.
Did you tell him?
101.
So you're talking about putting
Robot,
this
you
under
know what
dead,
robot
dead man's
code
shoes
is
and
zeros and ones.
late.
Yeah,
It vibes.
Oh my,
I can
oh
see
my
it
God.
going 101.
Alex, you're not allowed to rank stuff anymore. You and your
What are
jokes.
you
Well, neither
talking
is
about?
neither does your face.
I feel like I'm pretty decent at it.
No, I'm just messing with you. In all honesty, like, do you think it goes down there, or do you think it should be higher, or what do you guys think? Because I mean, this is basically the 100s. Is you guys are saying that you really hated the episode. It sounded like you guys didn't hate the episode. You just disappointed in everything
it's
but
true.
Robby.
It's a
Disappointed.
fantastic episode in the 100s. Do you want to know which
Oh my
one?
God.
Just go ahead.
Would you like to know which one, Nick?
Sure.
Would you like to know which episode? Triv, would you like to do the honors?
Piano in.
The house.
I don't know. If
Plot twists.
yeah.
No, seriously. Like, in all honesty, do you guys really want it that far down?
Nick, where would you put it?
Yeah. It's a good
I
question.
would not put it above the lonely. I just saw the
Where's the
lonely.
lonely
Don't alter his opinion.
No,
Let Nick
altering
just say a
anything.
number.
69,
I'm
dude.
I'm looking through the list.
69, dudes.
Where did I put this? In the 50s, maybe the 50s or 60s. Maybe underneath maybe below the after hours. Yeah, I remember I liked this episode more than you guys did. So
Yeah, but that's like you liked it a lot more than we did.
I
That's
did.
what-
I liked the whole
He
episode.
said that the entire episode.
But I didn't think it was that much more. Like that's a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really
That's better
liked
than
it. I mean,
That's
I
like
enjoyed the episode.
69% more.
Jacob, where have
Yeah.
you been?
It is. That's better than Perchance to Dream. Well, where Perchance to Dream should be.
I mean, I would put it around the 70, like 70, like maybe.
You said 50s a second ago. Now you're 70s. Oh my God.
Well,
you're
no,
old.
I was saying,
The 50s
no,
or
I was going.
60s.
Well,
Your
no, I was
opinion
going
moves as
50s.
much as Alex moves houses or location.
My God.
No, but when I was looking at the 50s and 60s, I was looking like the after. I don't think this episode is as good as the after hours, but
Nah,
you know,
nah, bro.
I mean, you guys are basically putting this. You guys are basically putting this that of late. I think of Cliffordville's a better episode. Dead Man's Shoes, Young Man's Fancy, One More, Poor Paul Bearer when he cries at a tree, Last Rites of Jeff Murderbrink.
I go with the
I-
80s.
I guess if you put it like that, I guess it to be higher.
I mean, I can
I'm
put it
feeling
down
the
to
80s.
like 120, underneath 120.
We don't have to stoop that low. It's okay.
Feeling the 80s.
It has Robby the robot.
I would put it underneath Midnight Sun. 91.
I was just looking at that.
Hey, great minds.
I was about to say 88.
Was the mirror the one with the Cuban dictator?
Yeah, Peter,
Yeah.
what's his face from Princess Bride?
I mean, 87 is he's also Columbo. I mean, 87 is another kind of robot-y one.
There's Steel.
Is
You
that
guys didn't like
the
Steel.
the grandmother?
Yeah.
I hated that one. It was so sappy. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
I mean, there's the one you guys didn't like, which was Steel.
I didn't hate Steel. I just thought it was kind of like this one. It was just like, yep, that happened.
Okay, but was this okay? In your guys' opinion, would you say that like overall you would like rewatch this episode versus Last Night of a Jockey, which is at 92?
Oof.
Yes, I would.
Man. I think Last Night of the Jockey did have like at least some technical, like we talked about. It had some technical things going on in it that I at least enjoyed. It made the second half of the viewing interesting. I'll give it that. Like the story was a bit of a loss. Not a loss. Could have been better.
I would put this
Hope
if
that
we're
clears
down
everything
the
up.
80s and 90s. I would put this above the Changing of the Guard and below the Lonely.
Below the Lonely? I definitely don't think it's better
Yeah.
than Lonely.
So would that be 80?
And I'm not a fan of Changing of the Guard at all.
80 would that
That's-
be 85 then?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too.
I like Changing of the Guard.
So
So where do you want it, Jake?
That's fine. See?
Okay.
I'm agreeable.
he's just here for the lulls.
Nah, Changing of the Guard, honestly, the last part, the second half was really good. Like the part where he was learning when he was in the class and learning from the students. I thought that was kind of touching. The rest
Yeah.
of it was kind of long-winded.
He was just too busy chasing after a convicted murderer who goes and terrorizes a small town. He's just too busy doing that.
What?
What? What episode are you talking about?
That joke just completely went over everybody's head. Who's in,
Clearly.
the Changing of the Guard?
I have
Donald
no, I don't
Pleasance.
remember. Some old guy. Oh.
Well, it's the one about the teacher of
Yeah,
the
but
boys
Donald
of the
Pleasance.
boys
Mhm.
school, right? What?
Yeah,
Talk about Halloween.
Donald Pleasance. Yeah,
He's talking about Treehouse of Horror.
Oh,
exactly. No, Donald Pleasance was in the Changing of the Guard. He played Loomis in Halloween, who goes after a crazy guy who's terrorizes a small town.
I forgot that was Donald,
And-
Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, that's why I was excited for
Anyway.
that episode. Then yeah, so I'm sorry, joke overhead.
This episode,
Okay,
though.
yeah, Uncle Simon. Okay. With that said, new number 85, Uncle Simon. Number 1, The Trouble with Templeton. Number 128, The Eye of the Beholder.
Wait.
Next episode.
Nope.
You doing it again?
105 is a piano in.
Why do you guys get to do this twice?
to be fair, Nick, you did sort of switch the number one ranking
No, I
versus
know.
the lowest
I do
one
that
on
on
purpose.
purpose.
So it's only fair,
Yeah.
I guess, for them to do piano.
We get to
in
do
the
it
house.
twice.
Yeah. If he holds
This
it
is
for
what
5
Jacob-
more seconds, he'll be on track to getting the bronze medal.
His head will explode.
Only Alex knows I switched to last place and first place. So
What?
I don't know.
Yay.
What?
I
Yeah.
wasn't listening. I was
Yeah.
just waiting for my cue.
So the next episode is probably one of Jacob's favorite titles. It's season 5, episode 9, called Probe 7, Over and Out.
Sounds about right.
He said pro.
Yeah. Over and out.
Over and under.
It's directed by
Out and about.
Ted Post. Oh Jesus! It's directed by Ted Post, written by Rod Serling. It stars Richard Basehart, Antoinette Bauer, Howard Gould, and Barton Heyman. I'm sure I've seen this episode. I don't recognize it from the title, so probably another space episode. But without further ado, we're gonna head out. But before we do that, Alex, awesome as always. Jacob, awesome as always. Triv, you're here. Welcome back.
Damn.
Awesome as
Wait.
always.
Wait.
She's
You
amazing as
angular
always,
turnip?
Nick.
You
That was like-
angular turnip.
The nice
I try.
fuck you. Fuck
No,
you,
he's
you're
That's
cool.
only-
like saying that someone's got a good personality. When
Trev, he's
everybody
only
else is
feisty.
listening.
He's
what
only
he-
feisty because he's wearing clothes on top of his clothes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Exactly. But as we always do, I'm gonna let you guys pimp your stuff. I'll start with Triv this time. I never start with Triv because I feel bad. But she knows. She
You
has good stuff.
should.
She posts videos. New video just posted. What's that video?
That Pizza
What's
Hut.
coming next?
It's a
Pizza
pizza
Hut.
slut video.
Pizza.
Slut.
Training video.
So
I
content.
get together with narcotic casserole and we rip it to shreds and it's funny. And yeah, up next is a video. It's about Vincent Price selling artwork. So stay
Like
tuned for that.
Picasso?
No, not Picasso. This preludes Picasso. This is a Price Cotto.
He sold an egg creator maker in The Simpsons.
Now, this is much better than that. He's telling people how to sell artwork at Sears back in the 70s.
That sounds amazing, actually.
Yeah. It's pretty gosh darn
Excellent.
good.
So I'm assuming that'll be out by the time this episode's out.
Should be, yeah.
Awesome. Jacob,
Yes,
content. I know you have content. Whether
I
it's
have
out
content.
not yet or not, I don't know, but you have content.
You know, I do. I have a finished video. It's been finished and uploaded for like a week, and I meant to release it on Saturday, and I forgot. I forgot it was there. Yeah, so probably this Saturday. By the time this airs, I guess it would have already been up. Go check that out. It's my experience at my first video game I can't call it conference, convention.
Nice.
I got a little bit of B-roll and of me there and some other stuff I got there and just my experience of it. But I have some if you do watch it, I will say at the end I have two like videos within a video. It's like videoception. Even if you're not into like everything that's going on with that video, there's two little entertaining, each one's about a minute long. I might break them out into a short or something, but there's two little videos I did like at the end that are fun that I think even people that aren't interested in all that might enjoy. Might be not. You might be like, what the fuck is this? Probably. I don't care. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a
Yeah.
lot. And if you enjoy that
That's-
stuff, you'll enjoy it a lot. And if you don't, suck a dick.
Well, there you go.
Like and
And
subscribe.
only Jacob liking it is half the battle. Alex,
Yes.
one day we'll get some new content. But for
Okay,
now-
wait, that's actually not true. I have posted
We're
something.
not going to get content.
Yeah, that's right.
I did
Oh.
post something.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
she did. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my bad. My bad.
Yeah, it is your bad. Thank you for apologizing. Anyway,
You guys are just full of
Um,
compliments tonight.
I know.
I know. So
I blame Uncle Simon.
yeah, it's all Uncle Simon's fault. You can follow me at youtube.com/Alex Carson. I just posted my first YouTube short, which I guess is like my official, more or less like, I guess, launch back into content. I guess it basically was just a highlight of my appearance on Last Night of a Jockey because I went on a tangent about a talking horse and I thought it was really fucking funny. So I decided to make a short about it. And figuring out YouTube shorts has been a headache and a half. As someone who's never really posted short form content personally, but like I've worked on like social media highlights for a different content creator before. But this was a whole other experience. But I would say like my next like long form video back at some point will be about what I consider like my rainbow connection or sort of the path that I want to take to being creative for a living. So it's a little more anecdotal, but that'll come out at some point. But
What
yeah.
talking horse are we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about Last Night of the Jockey.
It was
It's
my
incredible.
it was basically like my alternate like suggestion over like what could have made Last Night of a Jockey better in my opinion, which would have been instead of talking to his alter ego, it would be like a talking horse because he was a jockey.
Okay.
You should watch the short.
It's pretty good.
I'll watch your short. I thought maybe you were talking about Mr. Ed or Mr. Horse.
You mentioned Mr. Ed.
I do?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny how you don't
It's
remember.
generally pretty.
I vaguely
Yeah, it's
remember
generally
that.
funny.
I say things, and then, that happens. I'm not really. People say you said this, and I never really deny it. I'm like, probably.
Mhm.
It was awful. You said this terrible, awful. Maybe. Sorry.
Oh man. So yeah. Look at that short. It's pretty funny. And I actually laughed because it was really good. You did a nice job with the editing and adding stuff to it. Which I should hire you to edit these videos because you probably do a better job than I do. But anyways. So for myself, I've had quite a few videos post for Snowpiercer and Kneecap and Instigators and other stuff coming. It's getting that time of the season where there's a bunch of crap coming out. So look forward to that. But that'll do it. That'll be our take on Uncle Simon. And for the time being, we're going back into the Twilight Zone. So for for myself, Jacob, Triv, and Alex, we'll see you guys next time. The Twilight Zone.
Bye.
Yeah. Where's my hot shot?
Perfect. Just stay that way the whole episode.
God, it's like the Rod Serling Funko.
What does it even look like?